Hello, this is Tapes You Leave Behind. We're back with another record haul. This record haul's a little special because it's for Record Store Day, and that was on Saturday, April 12th. So this is our haul. Any words before we get started?
Not really, other than go out and support your local record store, whether or not they actually participate in the Record Store Day exclusives themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, and if you're not familiar, Record Store Day is this annual massive release, basically. There's a list that goes out with the different records that they'll have. Sometimes they also have like cassettes or 7 inches. And usually it's a huge turnout. We showed up around, I think, 6:30 a.m. and...
Where at?
Oh, yeah. By the way, we went to High Voltage Records in Tacoma, Washington this year. So, yeah, we showed up around 6:30. There's probably, 200 people
Yeah, at least.
in line already. This year, the biggest release seemed to be the Wicked soundtrack, at least the most sought after. And
Or
that
Taylor
one...
Swift one.
Well, yeah. So the Wicked soundtrack, there was 2,000 copies only, so you pretty much had to camp out for that one. Taylor Swift, she had a 7-inch single, Fortnite, I believe it was, with Post Malone. That was the most popular one, I think. Pretty much everyone in line, I think, was looking for that one. Because it had so many copies printed, though, I don't think anyone missed out. I'm pretty sure they even had leftovers after the line was through. So if you're looking for that one, you can probably still find it. Shall we get started?
Let's get started.
All right.
First off, Rage Against the Machine, live on tour, 1993.
Yep. Really excited about this one. Early-ish Rage live album. So this one, there were a couple people in line talking about this release, but it's a gatefold. And I think, they're different.
Yeah, different across
stops.
that tour. Yeah, it's not one full show. It's just different songs from along that tour.
Yep.
Mostly in the United States.
Yeah, I think there's one.
Like Milan.
Milan, Toronto, and Paris are the non.
And then as this was just yesterday, I haven't had a chance to actually listen to any of these, so I can't vouch for the quality on some of the live material. I believe this one is just on black.
I'll take a look.
Yeah, look at that, black.
Got the Rage logo on the center. The nice thing about this one is it is 3 sides instead of 4, which we always appreciate. It's less.
As long as they're not groove cramming it on there.
Yeah, but it also on the opposite end, it's like, 15 minutes a side is 10 minutes a side even sometimes. So instead of on the 4th side for it having music, it has this engraving. You can kind of see it, hopefully. But what this is it is the flag that they had on tour. Upside down flag. And I'll show you on the back. But yeah, I'm excited about this one. We don't really have any Rage Against the Machine, I don't think.
I don't think so.
Oh my gosh. Can't listen. Yeah, so this is what's on printed on the back. This upside down flag. So, all right.
Failed, you've been tricked. Next up, another live one. That's going to be a big trend throughout this. There's always a lot of live material, a lot of demos, a lot of bonus stuff. Typically the releases are, live, extra material, often off of like large CD box sets that didn't get a vinyl release.
Yeah.
That makes up typically about like half of Almost First Day anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Not everybody's cup of tea, but I typically enjoy it. Next one is a live album. I'm not aware of this being part of the bigger pieces. Johnny Marr. Guitars for the Smiths.
Gatefold.
Not with the Smiths here, obviously. Very much more recent live recording.
Yeah, I was actually wondering if this was the most recent, because he actually came... Oops. Sorry about that. He came... last year before last, so it might be. So this one's nice. It has these fully printed
glossy
sleeves, upside down, and then a lot of the records will be colored, which is I like I know it's contentious, but all right. So we got this pretty orange color. I picked this one out because I saw the track list and it was like half Smith songs, and I love the Smiths, and I know Johnny Marr's really great live, so we got a little.
Can you bring the guy from the Pet Shop Boys for a couple tracks?
Yeah, so the final few tracks are with Neil Tennant. I think they also, they cover
Bowie,
David Bowie. Yeah. Yep. So, yeah. I was trying to look at where, Hammersmith, April 12th, 2024. So almost exactly a year ago.
Wow.
Actually, yes, exactly a year ago, right? April 12th.
April 12th, yeah.
That's pretty interesting. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this one.
Next up, sometimes you just get kind of more sought after re-releases. Nothing really extra added to this one. This is Camper Van Beethoven's debut album on vinyl for the first time since it originally came out, I believe.
Probably. Yeah, you don't see it repressed all the time.
Very independent release, as far as I can tell. It's pretty much, it's a label they signed with just to do this reissue.
Yeah. So it says Cooking Vinyl Limited. I've never even heard of it.
It had a very fun hype sticker on the front talking about the old days where you'd see something like this that wouldn't be on the radio. So you either had to have a cool friend who already bought it or just literally take the dive off of the name and the vibe of it.
Yeah. I mean, we still do that sometimes.
Yeah.
We, see an album cover or like a weird sounding band name. So this one is actually like matte. It's like actual cardboard feeling, which is really cool. The image is like really high quality printed too. This was not cheap, and I can see why, because it's just so I don't even know, just like differently done. It's not like mass produced feeling. I'm actually curious how many copies they printed for this, but we can look at that later.
And they're going quite old school with the insert here. This is a giant form to fill out and mail to them, telling them where you bought this at, who you are, how much did it cost, what do you think of it, and they ask you to either include a picture or a drawing of yourself.
I love that. Yeah.
Reacting to the album.
Yeah, that's so cute. And then the sleeve is really cute too. It's just really well printed. It's not just,
Yeah, a lot of record store areas,
Factory.
sometimes if it's a reissue, you get not a lot. So on those live albums, you're going to get the bare minimum of a jacket. The sleeves will often just be like a plain white.
Mm-hmm.
Some are quite phoned in, but yeah, sometimes bands have fun with it.
Yeah, and we will have to. I'm actually very curious about this independent project record because it sounds like maybe they have.
Let's take a look at it.
I'm
it's a
so
fun
sorry.
Peach color.
My bad. So, what it actually looks like. But yeah, I'm very curious about what other releases they've done because it's pretty nice. Wow. It's kind of hard to see, but it's kind of got this smoky hue. And then it's like this perfect peach color. Oh, we got a little bit of
the
ring light.
Yeah, peach coloring.
Yes, it's very pretty.
Orange, almost like smoke inside of it. Pretty neat looking.
And the label is so cute too. I really like that. The like simple, and it has a print. Yeah, you can kind of see in the center of the band, I'm guessing.
You're in for a good time when an album's got 8 songs aside.
Yeah, and it goes really well with the inner sleeve colors.
Yeah.
So, okay. All right.
Craft and care to.
Yes. Yeah. And I know, and it's kind of hard to spend so much, but at the same time, it's just pretty unique, in my opinion. It's unique and just made with love, honestly.
All right, another live album. Definitely not as anywhere near modern as Rage Against the Machine or Johnny Marr. I can leave the little strip on the side for laying down here. This is the 13th Floor Elevators.
Mm-hmm.
Live in Houston in, 67? Does it even say?
It probably says somewhere.
Somewhere. Yep, 67. It's up there.
Yep, right here.
According to this was originally planned to be their second album. They'd recorded it. Doesn't say why they shelved it. Probably because it was a live album, and the label's like, no, you guys need to make an actual studio album. But this is actually the first time it's ever been officially released. It's almost 60 years later.
Yeah, that's wild. And if you're not familiar with the 13th Floor Elevators, that was a project with Rocky Erickson, who we love.
If you're not familiar with that, which you probably aren't if you haven't heard of the 13th Floor Elevators, it's kind of like psychedelic rock, very strange. Country stuff on the kind of famous Nuggets compilation they appeared on there.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. So this one's also smoky. It's kind of hard to see, so I turned on the ring light, but it's very, very pretty. It reminds me of Jack White's pressing.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of his
Dark
stuff is
blue
this
and
hue
black. Yeah.
and the yellow too. But yeah, very cute. I'm excited for that
Austin,
one.
Texas band. He has an electronic jug as one of the instruments.
Yes! Oh my gosh, we were learning about
Yeah.
the jug. It sounds crazy. They would just stick a microphone into his jug and
Yeah.
it's fun.
Fuzzed out jug effect. Next up, one for probably the cheapest sleeve of Record Store Day this year. We got Liam Gallagher Acoustic Sessions. What I can only describe as normally an inner jacket for an album that is being used as the entire thing.
Yeah. Yeah. You can see the label on the actual physical.
Yeah, it's got a
record
cutout.
cut through. And there's no other
Nothing,
protection
no
or
inserts,
anything.
no anything. Pretty cool looking though,
Yeah.
blue and silver. Liam Gallagher, of course, one of two Gallagher brothers that makes up Oasis. Some acoustic tracks on some classic Oasis songs, as well as a few of his own.
Yeah. Yeah. Not much else to say about that. I'm excited. I'm curious.
That'd be good. Catching a little bit on the Oasis reunion hype, probably.
Uh-huh.
We got one that's become a staple the last few Record Store Days. Frank Turner's been doing reissue anniversary editions of his album, and we are finally up to Positive Songs for Negative People.
Which would be the one I would say, blew up with. I feel like this was the first time I heard him
I
on
think
the radio.
Tape Deck Heart was the one that actually broke him into the U.S. at least for sure.
Really?
This is when we saw him on tour though for first, so.
What's the one that gosh, what's it called? Blacking in and out.
Recovery,
Yeah.
Tape Deck Heart.
Oh, that's on Tape Deck
Yeah,
Heart. I
yeah.
thought it was on this for forever. That's so funny. Never mind then. That's the
Yeah.
first song I ever
But
heard.
these been kind of fun. Most of them that he's put out in this format, it'll be the album and then another disc of bonus material, and this slip jacket
Yeah.
comes off. These are often, it's got track listing on the back, so it's got the album on first disc, and then demos, B-sides, making up the second. Inside, we got a nice foiled.
Yeah, that's cool.
You
It's
can
like a
image the album
mirror.
as Positive Songs for Negative People, so it uses a lot of this red and blue plus and minus kind of iconography, nice foiling on them, and then a bunch of foiling on the
Yeah,
inside.
this is crazy. Get ready. It's so cool. Yeah, this is another one where it's like they put a lot of thought and work into this, which is always really appreciated. Oh, I freaking turned it on the actual image. Okay, so here's the first disc. Of course, they're gonna be blue
Blue and
red. And I think that is this also foiled?
No.
Maybe not. Okay. So it's just a clear-ish, beautiful red.
I remember like 10 Record Store Days ago getting the acoustic version of this album as
Yeah.
a release.
Oh, there's an insert too. I can feel it. So it does have an insert as well. Lyrics. Woohoo! This is one where I feel like you might not need the lyrics. He enunciates
You
pretty
enunciate
well.
it quite well.
He's got a really great thank you note here, and then some information on who's on the album. Cool. Okay, and then here's the other disc. Real quick.
Blue.
Blue. There's some A little paper dust on it, but pretty. Cool. Yeah.
Great album.
Yeah.
Not good. Cuts on that one that still see play in his live shows.
Yeah, I think that's why I thought that song was on there. Because I was like, I remembered that imagery so much from that time period. But maybe it's just because it happened after his breakthrough song.
Right. Next up, Thin Lizzy, releasing one of the categories that I like to call "Why Was This Not Just Part of a Box Set?" So they recently did a 1976 box set of Thin Lizzy for the 2 albums they released that year, on which there was a CD one that contained a bunch of material, and the vinyl one only had the 2 studio albums. Not really sure why that's the direction they decided to go with it, considering so many things, especially in classic rock, have large box sets. But here we are finally getting some of that bonus material on vinyl. This is a, I would say like a reimagining of the album, if you will. Same track listing as Jailbreak normally, except here it's done in alternate takes, demos.
This is normally in that,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, so this is a sketch of the actual album cover, and it does feature them running. Like,
This
just
is, like,
them right there.
in there.
Yep.
Which is cool. I love these posters.
Mm-hmm.
These little posters are really cute.
The wanted poster, little nicknames and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Very fun. So this should be a cool one because it says it's going to be the same as Jailbreak track listing wise, except, it's going to be totally different. It's going to have a demo here, alternate takes of some of the songs, some are in instrumental format. It's got that sick Vertigo logo with the UFOs.
Very cute.
Very fun. A nice high gloss sleeve.
But yeah, it does make you wonder why didn't they just put this in that massive box set?
Well, this didn't make a massive box of 1976, which is
the one that you just got.
not that though. It was Vagabonds of the Western World.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah, different album. Which is weird because again, Jailbreak, that's arguably the biggest Thin Lizzy album. So why didn't it get
A
the
box
massive
set,
super
yeah.
deluxe treatment? Who knows?
That's wild.
Who knows?
Sometimes it doesn't make sense.
Going on the live train, we got Soul Asylum, a live album called After the Flood, live from the Grand Forks, June 20th, 1997. This is Soul Asylum being a bro, we'll say. So this was in response to a massive flood that hit North Dakota in 1997 that caused the evacuation of like 50,000 residents in the town to a local Air Force base. Because effectively the town completely flooded out. And part of that is that the local high school in the area didn't get a prom. So when they rescheduled their prom to happen on the Air Force base, I'm not really sure how Soul Asylum got word of it or whatever. They're like, yeah, we'll play your prom. So it went from just being a normal, small town prom to a spectacle. Like the idea of one rather large band at the time. They refer to them on the back here as one of the best live shows of that time period. Showing up and playing your prom at an Air Force base. There's some comments in here that have a little write up, some of like the attendees describing how it was a rumor floating around, because you didn't have the internet or anything. So they're like, yeah, I heard they booked Soul Asylum to play our prom. And it's like, yeah, right, man, no way. And then you get there, and sure enough, there's Soul Asylum.
Yeah, this one's really special. The track list is wild too.
Yeah, it's Peak Soul Asylum plus some very interesting covers. They do Schools Out,
Sexual
Healing. From Sir with Love, which they would do a lot in their like live material back then.
A Rhinestone Cowboy.
Closing with
Closing it out with a
Rhinestone
Rhinestone Cowboy. Pretty great. Yeah, I'm very excited to hear this one, and it'd be nice if they had like a movie or something about it,
Yeah.
Because I'm sure it was crazy.
That was pretty crazy. Not the first live Soul Asylum album they've done for Breakfast in the past. I picked up one from '93. Right as Black Gold was coming out.
Oh, wow.
Sort of them going from kind of a
Smaller
band into the
giant
global scene. So it'll be interesting to hear this one where it's on the flip side and they have been that large band now performing. Continuing on the trend, live material, bands being large. Stone Temple Pilots, live in '94, Purple Tour.
New Haven.
New Haven, Connecticut.
So this is pretty nice too. It's got the kind of metallic border.
Mhm.
I
Kind of a
don't know what that album is.
purple,
Oh,
which is why it's purple.
I got it.
That is the normal album cover, just covered in a purple filter.
Yeah, I knew it was the album cover. I
With
just
some
did not
overlay.
know. I'm not a big Stone Temple Pilot head enough to know that it was
This
called.
is another one where they had a box set. Some labels do that where you get just a single vinyl disc, and then you have a bunch of CDs that come with it. This is one where the live concert was not
Hard to see,
featured.
It's purple inside. That's
Yeah,
cute.
it was not featured in the actual thing. This is its first vinyl pressing of the live show.
And these are so pretty. Look at that.
Nice lavender
Cute.
color.
Yeah, that's nice. That's a pretty unique color, and it is pretty clear, I would say. Maybe about 60% opaque, so that's cool. And then the labels are zoomed in of the actual album, which is cute. They pretty much play the whole album, right?
Peace Stone Temple Pilots, this is only their second album, so you're getting everything you could hope for from those first two albums played live here.
Yeah.
Before any of the ill effects of Scott Weiland's drug addiction
Ugh.
really start to set in and things get a little rough.
Yeah.
Next up, going to the 80s, this is a studio album re-release. Not quite as independent as Camper Van Beethoven. Going to Britain, Saxon, Wheels of Steel. One of the big new wave of British heavy metal, 1980. You know, they sing about what you'd think from 1980. It's motorcycles, it's war, it's airplanes. Not much else in between.
I love this gatefold because, I mean, for one, look at the 6 photos. Just imagine. Oh, that would be amazing. And then, yeah, look at this bill. Rainbow, Judas Priest, Scorpions. I don't know what that says, actually. April
Wine.
Wine. Oh, April Wine. Saxon Riot. But wow.
Yeah.
I mean, would have been better if it was Dio Rainbow, but still.
1980
it
just
was
joined up with
awesome.
Sabbath.
And there's the back.
So yeah, it's the studio album, Wheels of Steel, plus a live, probably from said Monsters of Rock tour post that's included in there.
Oh, yeah.
And this is another
Red.
spoiler alert, red and blue to this vinyl.
That seems to be the theme for
real-
this year's
real hot
Record
this year.
Store Day releases. I don't know why. Oh my gosh, I'm always so bad at getting these in and out. Here's the blue. Nice. Pretty color. Alright. I'm hyped for this one. I love metal. Okay, what we got next?
Next up, a greatest hit, something I'm buy a ton of. Is definitely an Emerald pick.
Yeah.
Francois Hardy.
Yeah, I love Francois Hardy. I love just 60s, that 60s French pop wave that came through, so I was really excited. We have 1 or 2 of her albums, but I thought Greatest Hits would be kind of nice to be able to just throw on. So yeah, it's got the kind of thicker sleeves here. Those are all the albums that are on these, I think. Again, we've got a red. Kind of a pinkish red, though. And...
Opaque red. You can't see through that one, though.
yes.
Transparent like the last few have been.
Yep. Oh my gosh. Stalling. Yeah, I don't know. It's just chill. Same color on that one. Just chill, kind of like takes you away, I think. I just want to be, you know, in France. In the
France.
60s. Awesome.
Sophisticated kind of pop sound.
Yeah, very, very...
Pop before that would become an actual term.
Totally. Very clean. Very jazzy. But, yeah.
All right, next up, a series that I pick up every single time I see one in person, regardless if it's actually from the Hillbillies in Hellline or not. This is Hillbillies in Hell, The Endless Sleep, named for one of the tracks on here. They used to number these. I think they gave up after like 12 or 13. Now they just have, a moniker of some sort. It says here, years 1958, 1973. These are collections of sort of odd country, rock, folky kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Effectively hillbilly music, as the name suggests. Almost always pertaining to, death, Satanism, fear of dying, hardships.
Yeah, usually they're very
typically more obscure things as well.
Too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got Porter Wagner. I mean, there's some big names on here. Jody Reynolds, that's your guy. The name for the album, Endless Sleep. They've done a compilation of just his stuff before as well. I mean, Waylon Jennings is on here.
Yeah, Loretta Lynn.
They're always kind of nice. I believe this is an Australian label that, again, always just goes for kind of like old country stuff, taken straight from the masters, according to the label at least. Probably true. I'm sure it's legit, maybe.
Ish.
They always have a write-up on every artist, and specifically they'll cover what the song is. You get some real weird stuff. They've done compilations of full albums just about like JFK, prison, hardship songs of like working and things like that. It says on here. Like on like the hype thing, see Sanford Clark mourn the girl on death row. Hear Lawton Williams face the apocalyptic, the big fire. Witness Evangelos Harold Leak and how awful hell must be.
They're just on black.
This one is black.
Okay.
So black record.
I think they're usually mystery though, right?
They normally are. Normally it's 3 different colors. Pressed 666 copies.
Huge.
222 a piece of typically a red, orange, fiery kind of swirl, and then a black.
Yeah. One thing is we think that the cover's AI, which kind of sucks, but.
Indeed it is.
But it's they're still really fun compilations. Just hopefully next year they actually. Usually they find an old
Typically
image.
it's an old image that they
I
then
don't
doctor
know.
to add like
Yeah.
vampire teeth to or something.
Yeah, I don't know why the change, but anyways.
All
What
right.
we got next?
Ramones, Loco Live. If you're familiar with later era Ramones, you might remember this live album as it was their second ever. Behind It's Alive. This is way later in the career, though. At this point, I think it's only Joey and Johnny of the original Ramones.
Oh, really?
From the early 90s. So you're getting the full, pretty much, canon of Ramones hits on this one. And by this point, they're playing so fast that you are getting every hit. 2 discs, as I mentioned, this has had a CD release. I believe this is the first time on vinyl. And do not be fooled. This is not both discs up here. This is just side A and side B.
Crazy.
Encompassing maybe 20 tracks. And then side C and D. So you are going to get everything. Going to be way faster. Not quite as good as It's Alive. I have listened to this one before. But it's a benefit of being the later era. I like a lot of the later era Ramones stuff.
So let me guess. Blue and red.
Blue and red, yep.
This one's maybe 70% opaque if I had to estimate. Not expert though. Do you like this live album?
It's pretty good. The audio's weird, and I don't think it's a mix on the thing. I think it's just kind of how the Ramones sound at the time period. It's a bit more... I don't know how to, like, live sounding. Which, good and bad. But I love that, like, some of the later era stuff, so getting that. Because the Ramones always have records their day stuff. Like, literally always.
Yeah.
And man, it was just live album after live album from, like, around the time of It's Alive. Like, I'm like, we can only do so many of these before I lose my mind. And it was like they just ignored anything after the first 4 albums for years and years and years. And then finally, I think last year, they put out a box set of albums like 6 to 11. And then this year we're getting Loco Live. So they're finally tapping into the later
90s,
80s and 90s Ramones catalog that they seem to have just fully ignored.
Yeah. Well,
All right, another oddball. We had 13th Floor Elevators earlier with an album that was allegedly supposed to be their second album that was shelved until right now. Here we have Public Image Limited's debut. Public Image first issue. If you're familiar with the album cover, you notice this is slightly different. And that is 100% on purpose. Because this is a different mix of the album. This was what they had mixed for the United States.
Yeah.
I believe this was Warner Brothers who picked them up. Obviously running off of John Lydon's fame of being a Sex Pistol. And they were like, well, this British one is kind of weird. So let's remix this so it'll be a little more popular for the American audience. And then even after doing that, Warner Brothers was like, you know what? No, we're not going to release this. And the first album just never came out in the United States. So you had to import that if you wanted it. A few years ago, they actually had a legitimate pressing in the United States, thanks to Light in the Attic of the debut. Otherwise, yeah, it's only the imported UK ones.
Thank you, Light in the Attic.
And now, for the first time ever on vinyl, a release of the actual thing we would have gotten back in,
October 1979.
79.
Yeah.
That's right, because it was a year delayed.
That's wild. Our recent episode,
Yeah.
we learned I never had heard them before. I just avoided them because of John Lydon. And I quite like them. So it's kind of funny how that happens. Then you get the release. It's in the air, I guess.
Yeah.
But this is like super glossy and like really HD. Like it's so crisp. But yeah, nice. It's just on one disc, not like.
Well, yeah, 'cause I mean, it's from back in the day. This was
Yeah.
supposed to be the release. It's
Right.
not like a lot of modern stuff, where it's not timed right to fit on.
Exactly.
A
Also, I
record.
don't know if you can hear that, but it's just sliding out because I think the jacket is just too big.
tinge larger than normal.
Yeah.
Here we got an oddity.
Oh,
Hindu
yeah.
love gods. This is the definition. If you see this on the shelf, it has no real hype, stick, or anything to it.
Nothing.
Good luck figuring out what this is, especially unless you flip it over and you recognize some of those people in the tiny picture. Yep, we got Warren Zevon and 3/4 of REM. This came out in the early 90s at a time when 3/4 of REM should be enough to make it a platinum record. Warren Zevon also sort of, having a bit of a career resurgence around then.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, as much as he had a career resurgence.
Mm-hmm.
We'll get to that, though, again, here in a little bit.
Yes.
But so this was a kind of, rough thrown together album by the four of them of cover material. There they are again.
Got Billy, Mike, Peter, and
Warren.
Warren, and someone else. Some sort of mixer back there.
It's a fun one though. It's at the cover album. So you hear, Warren singing out things like Raspberry Beret. Prince
Yes,
cover.
that's my favorite one on this.
You got
album.
Battleship Chains.
Yeah.
You got Junko Partner. You can debate who does it better, them or the Clash.
That's so wild. Yeah. This is such a weird record. Like, we were talking to someone in line and he's like, how does that even happen? How did they even meet up?
From what I can tell, Zevon was a target of affection from REM.
Yeah.
I've read
of course.
stories of them having him come up on stage like during the Fables tour to sing stuff with them.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, and that's kind of just it, right? Is Warren is such a artist that
Yeah.
everybody loves him.
Peter Buck seems to just show up anywhere and everywhere.
Yes, he really
You
does.
really dig through music. That guy will just show up on random albums all the time.
Especially in the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah.
I feel like if there's a band here, he'll show up. He'll hang out.
Here's an odder one. Harry Potter, Sorcerer's Stone
You
soundtrack.
mean a Potter one?
Oh, that's terrible. This was one of 4 they did this year. I was not going to pick up the first 4 Harry Potter
No.
movies on soundtracks. But
No.
I did get the first one.
Yeah.
It's going to have pretty much all the iconic music you can think
Yeah,
of.
like Hubwood's theme and
Yeah.
Yeah. I was so hyped to see Hagrid's little house on here. But yeah, I agreed. I was like, I'll pick up. I think the first one's great because it's John Williams. It's an incredible score. but I don't need to start collecting
All 8 of them.
all 9 because the 8th movie is in 2
7
parts.
movies in 2 parts.
Oh shoot!
Yeah.
I thought it was 8 movies. Well, it is 8.
It is 8 movies, 7 books.
It's unclear. Oh, I thought it was black. Yeah, I kind of stretched it out a bit, but yeah. So, wasn't bad price either, which was nice to see. Usually these soundtracks they kind of gouge you on. So.
Those are the nice jacket. It's got
Yeah.
thick kind of pockets for the thing.
Except like the lowest possible pixelated photo of the dining room.
It is oddly
ever.
blurry picture on the
It's
back,
kind of hard to tell, but it's like
which is wild because I doubt this is a exclusive to
Yeah.
Record Store Day. I'm sure that's just the clear.
yeah, it's probably like the first release series,
Yeah.
which is that it comes out first on Record Store Day before the actual release.
So Warner's is like, yep, that's good.
Yeah. Take a screenshot
The
off your
blurry? Yeah, that's
CRT
fine.
VHS of the movie.
Another new wave British heavy metal Slipknot studio album. We got Judas Priest live in '82. The Screaming for Vengeance tour live in Atlanta. Strangely, the album cover features a lot of artwork from way after that,
Yeah, that's right. You were pointing that
which
out.
is kind of weird. We got Painkiller, Nostradamus, Firepower, all after Screaming for Vengeance.
I didn't pay attention to the details. I mean, it still looks sick, but
But again, we got peak Judas Priest.
yeah.
Absolutely stellar track list. 2 discs.
Look at that.
And some
I saw
great
this when we opened it.
Screaming
Look
for
at
Vengeance.
that.
Alternate kind of art.
It's like hot pink. Oh, it's so cute. And will it be red and blue? It's got red. Nope, 2 reds.
I'm sure flip that one over, show off the other Screaming for Vengeance.
Oh yeah,
deck.
that's right here. We'll flip them both over. There you go. Very cool. Very cool. We have a couple, 1, 2 live albums from Judas
I
Priest.
think it's the second one.
So they're always good.
Always good.
They're
yeah,
always, like,
I mean, they're still good
You
now. Go
can't
see them
go wrong.
live.
Yeah.
They tour
yeah.
all the time. Go
Yeah,
see
go
Judas
see
Priest. They
them.
still sound great.
Yeah, but yeah, it's just one of those you can't really go wrong. So
All right, we're getting near the end here. Last 2 things are probably the 2 things I was really looking for.
yeah.
I think we started hunting down. First off, we have Warren Zevon in a box set entitled Piano Fighter. This is late 80s, early 90s Warren Zevon.
Those are 3 albums.
Mr. Bad Example, live album, and then Mariner,
Mutineer?
There we go. I always want to call that one.
Mother.
Yeah, like
almost
it's hard to
like-
read. It's in cursive,
like-
so I'm always like messing that one up.
It's kinda hard to tell.
And if I'm not mistaken, Mr. Bad Example had a vinyl release back in the day. This is a reissue. These 2 have never been on vinyl before.
Mutineer. Okay. I guess we'll take them out.
Yeah, I believe they're all black. I don't really need to
Oh.
poke the inside too much.
Sorry, guys.
First up, we got Mutineer.
There's the back.
Great albums. As I said, so I referenced earlier, this is sort of viewed as kind of a bit of a resurgence for him. After, kind of dipping, he'd taken a good chunk of the 80s off. Came back with Sentimental Hygiene in the late 80s. And then he released Trans City, which was maybe a little too weird for most people. This was a step back. So Warren Zevon often had a lot of special guests and stuff on albums. These are mostly him.
This is the live one.
Mm-hmm.
Is it just him? Like, is it just him acoustic? Do you know?
It's acoustic. I don't know if he has other people there as well. He probably does on some of them.
1993 is when it first. Well,
Yeah.
first was released. 92 is when it was recorded. A lot of good songs. I'm
Yeah, oh yeah, it's
excited.
great. I love a good, slightly later era live album because you're going to get like the full hits catalog.
Yes.
You're going to get some of those later ones as
Everything.
well. Like
Yeah.
got Boom Boom Mancini on there. Mr. Bad Example off of one of these.
Got this nice insert that I'm sure Brian will be reading.
Yeah, I love a good insert. Every box set should have one.
I think it's an interview. Yeah. It's an interview, so it'll be nice. There's a little Waddy. Boo. Boo. But a great musician. So. And then the last one. Which is the first one. I just realized. Mr. Bad Example.
Yeah.
Oh, looks like Waddy produced this. So that's probably why he's hanging out with him.
He came back. He produced his old ones too.
Oh.
So he'd been gone for a bit, and then I think probably an attempt to kind of give back to that older thing. Brought in the
Sound,
original
yeah.
producer. Yep.
Cool.
Nice
That'll be
thick
fun. Yeah.
box.
Yeah. Boxes are usually, in my opinion, nice because they're a little bit bulkier, but I think it brings it all together.
Brings it all back. All right, finally, last one. The Blasters, an American music story. The complete studio recordings, 1979 to 1985. As the name suggests, this is indeed the complete studio recordings of the Blasters. If you're not familiar, LA-based rock band, kind of doing like a rockabilly throwback thing.
Yep. Yep. Very rockabilly, and they all do they also like jam too?
No,
Not
much more
live?
short.
Oh, not live?
Not like a jam band, no.
No, not like a jam band, but I don't know that they kind of go on. But anyways, you have this one, I believe,
I do have an original of that one, yeah.
but all the others are new. Very cool.
Yep, 4 studio albums and then a collection of, singles, B-sides, unreleased material.
Is that what this one is?
Yep. Limited of 1,000,
Oh, yeah, we
hand
got-
numbered.
Number 45. And this one, unlike the Warren Zevon, they're all, I think, kind of the originals, I'm guessing. Maybe Warren Zevon was the same, but they're kind of all black.
Well, as I said,
spine.
the thing with the Warren Zevon one, they didn't exist before.
Oh,
there's no
that's
record
the
to-
first one?
Yeah, there's no,
Oh.
vinyl copy
Sorry, I
of those to
wasn't
really base them
listening
off
to you.
of. So yeah, these are based on, jackets are based on what they looked like back in the day.
Yeah. Oh, boy. They're heavy. Okay.
Again, said it for us again, love a good booklet.
And this one is chock
Tons of writing, tons
oh
of
my
pictures.
gosh.
You can really
Yeah.
sink your teeth into. They're breaking it down by album.
Mm-hmm. That's always great.
You know,
to
X and the
see.
Blasters.
Perfect.
Wasn't
right?
uncommon to go to a show and it'd be X the Blasters and Dwight Yoakam playing back then.
Oh, we just picked this one up.
Yep, that was last record store day.
Store day.
That was a live one.
So now we have like everything.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Cool. Very cool. Okay, cool. So that's the insert. That's a really great insert. And then we've got this sick little ad
Fictitious
poster.
movie poster for the third album.
That's cool. Not the band. Okay, so
Going backwards again.
we're going backwards. I can go forwards. Here, we'll go forwards.
The debut LP, for their own words, sold no copies. Though it would, as they said, make it to England, to which Marie Marie would get covered and become a hit in the UK.
Bye, everyone.
Little Shaky Stevens or something like that.
I know that, like,
UK's
the-
old rock throwback.
Yeah, I know that like you hear everybody singing that song. I didn't know that they're the original.
Yeah.
But yeah, like Nick Lowe and his gang,
Mhm.
his
But I mean, that's-
dazzle.
yeah, if you're familiar with rock pile and stuff like that, it's in that same wheelhouse of music.
Yeah.
I believe these ones are all black.
Look at the old labels though. Cute. Donna the chicken. A rooster, excuse me.
Sort of like the old Sun record label.
Yeah. Cute. Okay.
That was the debut. As I said, didn't sell. So then they took a second stab at it with American Music, which features quite a few tracks that are on the debut as well.
Oh yeah. I already see a few. That's funny. We'll try again.
Yeah. Objectively
Same logo.
horrendous album cover, I would say. I don't think that's a controversial opinion.
It's It's unique.
It looks like something like hardcore punk kind of.
Kinda. Yeah, kinda.
Weird blocky teeth. And then continuing the trend of maybe terrible album cover. Non-fiction looks like
It looks like a book,
it
to
does
be
look like a
honest.
cheap romance novel.
So maybe that's what they were going for. Maybe they
movie
nailed
poster.
it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Wolf.
I love that guy. Oh, I want to see if I caught the rooster. I'm sorry. I'm committed now. Oh, this one has an insert. Well, that's
Clear
good.
sheet.
It does. Oh, it does have. Oh, thank God. It's got the cool new wolf and the rooster. That's funny. And we got two more left. We've got what's this one?
I don't know what it's called.
All
The
right.
third one.
Oh, here we go.
Probably says on the spine.
Hard line.
Hard Line. It's got Dark Knight on it, which is a big hit. I don't remember exactly which Tarantino movie he was in, but it's one of them.
Cool. Well, yeah. Let's try that.
84, I think.
I trust you. All right, rooster check. Still there.
Sure is. Whole bunch
Multiple.
of them. Little watermarks all over it. And then we got the cool. Now, I love this album cover. Obviously, this probably didn't exist back then, since this is the one added for the box set. Modeled like any good old bootleg would be.
It really does look like a bootleg. That's funny. Then yeah. Oh, this is interesting. So yeah, it has information about each song. Spread out. Cool. Rooster chat.
John Doe is on one of the tracks on here from X.
We are roosters. Which song?
Side 2, track 1.
Justine. Fun. I'm not surprised. They're like, I can see why they're so close with X. Same
All right.
X.
And that was our haul from Record Store Day 2025.
It was pretty fun.
It's pretty fun. Pretty cold.
Cold, very cold.
Say it, I think every year it needs to move out of April and into like June or something.
Yeah.
As everybody's always lining up. I think some of the local record stores had people the day before.
Yes. Yeah. We saw several.
Hopefully
like 4
waiting
p.m.
for that Wicked release and not the Taylor Swift record, because that Taylor Swift
God,
record had
could
hundreds
you
and hundreds of
imagine?
copies at every store.
I would feel so jaded but yeah, I would like to see more. Okay, I'm gonna talk about this really quick. So we have down here this side by side. So back in the day, we can say that now.
Yeah.
We're old. Back in the day, they had this series called Side by Side put out by Rhino, where they would have a song by a band, and then they would have a cover version of that song, and they would press it. So they would have, like for this one, for example, it's Skulls by the Misfits, and the Lemonheads covered it in the 90s. So
They were always on Cool Colors. This is one of the freak ones that's actually on a picture disc.
yeah, they're usually like colored on each side, but so we have lemon skulls, which is really cute. But we tried to get as many as we could back then.
Yeah, I'd pick up any of the ones I saw. when we did
Literally
this record
any
store
of
day.
them, because they were just so unique, and they were like $7-8, if that. They weren't expensive. But so I'm sure, the folks at Rhino and Record Store Day are watching this. I'm certain. Bring this back, please. And you know what? Like, there's so many popular artists, because that's what I notice a lot of the release are now, like Post Malone, Taylor Swift, Gracie Abrams, Charlie XCX are like big releases. They have covers.
Mm-hmm.
You know that Post Malone one? Yeah, it was all Nirvana covers. Do side by side. They're cool. They're collectible. All right, I'm off my high horse. Any other words?
Not really. It's just kind of fun. Go out there, talking to people online, see what they're into, learning about new stuff.
Yeah.
That's a good way to get stuff that doesn't always get like a wide release. As I said, like a lot of people fault it for the fact that it's a lot of demos and live stuff, but that's what I'm looking for anyway.
Exactly.
So I'm finally getting things that I want. Other stuff that I didn't pick up to shout out this year.
Yep.
The Replacements had their Let It Bleed edition of Tim paired with a remastered version of Tim. If you haven't listened to Let It Bleed, it is an incredible remix and remaster of the original album.
Yeah.
It sounds fantastic.
Yeah.
And I could not justify buying this, as I think I already have three
Three
different versions of Tim, including the Let It Bleed.
Yeah.
So I'm like, what am I buying it for? I think it's red. I don't know. I don't need that.
Yeah, we're not quite that
But
far.
if you don't have it, go get it.
Yeah, if you don't have a copy, it's worth it. But if you pretty much have all the contents already, it's like hard to justify,
Hard to justify.
it. What else was there? The Sting live album.
I did miss out on the Sting one. Sting's been doing a tour recently. He's back in a 3-piece, sort of like the Police, doing a more rock kind of thing. I thought that seemed pretty cool. The Record Store Day one had a whole extra disc of live material compared to the mass release one we're getting here in a little bit. So that's an example of a Record Store Day one literally being the deluxe version of an album.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't even see it. They probably had a few made sold out. I know the year there was Police live albums a few years back. Those sold out pretty fast as well.
They sold out immediately.
So maybe that's one of those that secretly a lot of people like
We're
to
looking for
disparage
it.
the Police, but I think I'm not alone in my enjoyment of them.
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, you talk to a lot of people. It's one of those
Like
kind
the
of
Chili Peppers?
yeah, like a Chili Pepper sort of thing.
Wow.
Another one is like we changed Bob Rocket.
Yeah.
20th anniversary of Total. Didn't see it. I mean, it wasn't like it sold out. It just wasn't like they had their full
They
list ahead
had
of
a
time.
very low
Like a
quantity.
1,000 pressings of
Yeah.
it. Nowhere around here got one.
Nowhere. Maybe Easy Street.
Maybe.
In Seattle.
Yeah.
Yeah, we also saw Toad the Wet Sprocket Homecoming live. I almost grabbed, but I don't know
Live at
much
92.
about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's stuff for everybody. I mean, there's like jazz, tons of jazz.
Oh my
all
god,
the
yeah.
time.
There's probably 6 or 7 jazz.
There's always
releases.
weird compilations. You saw I got the one of like country music.
Yeah.
But I mean, in years past, we've gotten stuff like Behind the Dikes, which is Dutch,
Yep.
like 60s psych
Garage,
rock. That is
yeah.
some of the best compilations I've ever gotten.
Yes.
Those are fun front to back of some artists that definitely like.
We would never
You'd never hear.
Yeah.
Because I mean, some of the artists like the song on there. That's their only song. Like they made a single. They were a band for a year and a half. That's the only recorded material they ever had.
Right.
And again, they're from the Netherlands, so it never made it anywhere.
Yeah.
Alligator Band didn't make it out of Netherlands until it was on a compilation here.
Yeah. There's always fun stuff like that, or like especially if you like garage rock. You know, there's so many bands in the '60s
Mhm.
that these compilations are fun. Yeah. What do you hope for next year? I hope for this. Make a vinyl edition of my favorite compilation.
Halloween Nuggets. What is it, Emerald?
Rock Beat, please, if you're listening. Halloween Nuggets is a collection of fun, not necessarily Halloween songs. It could be horror movie songs. It could be just spooky sounding songs. I think they're all from the 50s and 60s.
Yeah. Effectively novelty music half the time.
Yeah.
Very horror themed, catchy and odd.
Kind of the
Yeah.
schlocky B horror movies. I doubt they're in there. They're probably in that CD player you just bumped into.
Yes, they are. Because we listen to them every once in a while.
But it's interspliced. They'll do a few songs, and then they'll often have like trailers.
Yeah, so it'll be like a radio trailer for Frankenstein,
Yeah.
intermixed with them.
Or like a spook show spectacular. Come on
Yes.
down. You'll have live monsters and a coffin. You get free skincare products if you can survive inside the coffin.
It's
One
incredible.
girl killed every night.
It's
like
incredible.
absolutely schlocktacular.
Maybe
stuff.
we'll make a separate full video, Halloween style, of our favorite nuggets. But that's what I would love, more stuff like that. Things that are very campy and things you just don't see. Those are always my favorite. Soundtracks too. I'm a big soundtrack person. I don't know.
That's about it.
Yeah. So
Alrighty.
okay.
Well, this has been our Record Store Day 2025 haul.
Yep.
Catch y'all at the Black Friday one, which is typically even more bottom of the barrel scraping than regular record store day.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, if it wasn't clear, these hauls are not. We don't go to the record store every week and pick out 10 records and have a haul. These will be very infrequent. We obviously record store day is going to be the biggest time, I think. So we will probably see you in November.
Probably.
All right. Listen to our podcast.
See ya.
Bye.